Every visit to the old home place begins the same way, traveling this gravel road in the early morning light. There's always a stillness out here before the day starts, a kind of quiet that settles over the fields and the cattle moving through the haze. It's the same road the Campbell family would have taken for generations. And no matter how much time passes, coming down this stretch feels like stepping back into their world. Before we step inside the old home place, I want to return once more to the land itself, because the story of this house doesn't begin at its front door. It begins here, in the stillness of the ground that has held it for more than a century. In the first episode, I read words that tried to capture this feeling, this memory that only old places can hold. And as I walk the property again today, the lines return to me, the same way the past returns, quietly, when you give it room to speak. And the old home place stands where it always stood, watching over fields once worked by humble hands, the echo of footsteps long faded, yet never truly gone. The house has changed over the years, and time has taken its toll. But the ground beneath it, the same sun that rises over it, the same wind that moves through these hollers, those things haven't changed, and neither has the memory of the people who built their lives here. So before we continue our journey inside, take a moment to stand here with me, to breathe in the air of this place, to hear the quiet of the mountains, and to feel that familiar pull of home. Now, let's step into the old home place and continue uncovering the rooms that shaped generations of the Campbell family. Since filming began, we've made some significant changes to the old home place. With plans to move here full-time, much of the interior has already been cleared out and work has started. Because of that, I wasn't able to capture a complete video walkthrough of every room in its original condition. So, for parts of this episode, you'll see a combination of photos and limited footage to help show what the house looked like before restoration began. When we step through the front door of the old home place, we're entering more than a century of family life. This is the room that greeted every visitor, the room that held every gathering, and the room that heard the first cries of new babies and the final goodbyes to loved ones. In houses of this era, the living room wasn't simply a place to sit. This space functioned as the heart of the home. Most of the walls that you see here have been covered over time, but behind them are the original hand-hewn boards that Wayman and Sally lived with. These boards were cut locally, likely right here on the property or just down the road, and they were installed with a simple goal: to create a solid, warm space for a growing family. Immediately to the right of the front door is the steep staircase leading to the loft upstairs. We'll explore that portion later in this episode. But first, we're going to begin with the rooms on the main floor. The spaces where Wayman and Sally lived out their daily routines, raised their children, and built the life that this home still reflects. This room, directly off the living room, was Wayman and Sally's bedroom. Later, it also became the bedroom of their youngest son, Jim Campbell, and his wife, Hattie. This was the only true downstairs sleeping room in the original layout of the home. The room is simple in form, yet it held some of the most intimate moments of the family's life. Births, long nights with sick children, early mornings preparing for work, and the quiet ending of each day. Even now, the wood on these walls carries the depth and warmth of a room that sheltered generations. This small closet beneath the staircase features the original skeleton key lock, one of the few surviving hardware pieces from the earliest years of the home. There are also shelves built into this space, likely used for storing canned goods, clothing, and other essentials. Storage was precious, and every nook of the house had a purpose. From the bedroom, we step into a place that did not exist in Wayman and Sally's time: the bathroom. Originally, this entire back portion of the house was an open, wraparound porch. Sometime in the 1970s or early 1980s, the porch was enclosed, and a bathroom was added as indoor plumbing became more accessible in rural areas. As time has passed, water intrusion has caused significant damage to this room. Roof leaks, rot, and moisture buildup have weakened the structure. It's one of the most pressing problems the old home place faces today. This bathroom will become the focus of our first major remodeling episode later in the series, where we'll take it down to the stud, assess the underlying damage, and rebuild it in a way that honors the home's historic integrity. Moving across the main floor, we enter the kitchen, a room that, unlike the bathroom, may have older roots, but still raises questions. The ceilings here are noticeably higher than in the rest of the house. That difference hints at renovation or expansion at some point, though we haven't yet confirmed whether this kitchen is the original one used by Wayman and Sally. What we do know is that this kitchen was in use during the lifetime of Jim and Hattie, around the early 1910s. It's spacious compared to kitchens from the 1800s, and its layout reflects a more modern, mid-20th century approach to cooking and storage. To help us understand the history of this space, we've looked at two aerial photographs from 1987 and 1991. Both show a wide chimney rising from the roof line, far wider than the original chimney base that we see outside of the living room today. That suggests that the home once contained a large, central cooking hearth. Chimneys of that size were typically built to serve a fireplace used for preparing meals, heating water, and warming the home long before modern stovetops existed. The presence of that earlier chimney tells us that this home very likely had a different kitchen arrangement at one time, possibly closer to the center of the house, as was common in early Appalachian structures. Determining how much of this kitchen overlaps with the original will require further investigation as restoration continues. As we move back toward the front of the house, we return to the staircase, one of the most authentic survivals of the old home place. These stairs are steep, narrow, and hand-built. They represent a time before standardized building codes, when carpenters measured with their hands, their eyes, and their experience. You can feel the history in each step. The unevenness, the smoothness worn by generations of children running up to bed, and the creaks that echo each movement. If the downstairs was the working center of the home, the upstairs was where the family rested and dreamed. When we reach the top of the stairs, we step into a place that looks very different today than it did in its earliest years. The upstairs has been divided into 2 rooms, with paneling covering the walls and ceiling. But originally, this entire upstairs floor was one open loft. This loft was where the children slept, a shared living space warmed by the rising heat from the fireplace below. Privacy wasn't a luxury rural families had. Instead, the loft was communal, practical, and simple. The rafters would have been exposed, the boards bare, and in the winter, quilts were layered thick to keep out the cold. The far room you see here would have once been simply the other half of that open loft. The dividing wall and doorway were added much later, likely mid-century improvements as families shifted towards more individualized bedrooms. This part of the house still whispers its original purpose. The low ceilings, the long stretch of floorboards, and the fading natural light all remind us of the generations of children who lived, slept, and grew up in this very space. And when you stand here, it isn't hard to imagine how it once looked. One long room filled with the sounds of siblings settling in for the night, hushed conversations drifting up from downstairs, and the steady heartbeat of a family making a life together in the foothills of Appalachia. Now that we've walked through the rooms of the old home place, it feels right to step back outside for a moment. Out here, you can see the home in its full setting again. The way it sits against the landscape, the way the fields open around it, and how the mountains frame everything in the distance. From out here, the house looks small compared to the land around it, but this view has always been part of its story. Generations of the Campbell family worked these fields, walked these paths, and watched the seasons roll across this valley. Even now, the land holds the memory of that daily life in a way the walls alone never could. And while the home itself carries the most personal details of their lives, the outbuildings around it tell another side of the story, a more practical one. The work that supported the family didn't happen inside. It happened out here. The old barn still stands, weathered and worn, but full of clues about how this place functioned day to day. And nearby, the outhouse remains, a reminder of what life was like before indoor plumbing, before renovations, before modern comforts reached these hills. In the next episode, we'll step beyond the front porch and take a closer look at those spaces, the barn, the outbuildings, and the structures that kept this home running. Each one holds its own chapter of the Campbell story, and together, they'll help us understand the old home place as a living, working homestead. This is the old home place, and we're only just beginning to uncover its history.